Welcome to Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition.
On this episode, Amanda shows us how we can finally order Girl Scout cookies online.
Jen gives us the highs and lows of this year's Grammy Awards.
All this and more on Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition.
This is Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition, starring Jade Marshall, Heather Daniels, Amanda Murata, Jeannie McBride, Jay Jackman, and featuring Jen Danzak.
Welcome to Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition. I'm Jade Marshall.
And I'm Heather Daniels. A federal court ruling over a border shooting in Arizona is adding a growing pressure on Border Patrol agents to justify the use of deadly force. Jesus Castro Romo, an immigrant from Mexico, was shot and wounded by a Border Patrol agent on November 16, 2010. U.S. District Court Judge James Soto ordered the U.S. government on Friday to pay $500,000 to Castro Romo. Government attorneys argued that the altercation was justified because Abel Canales, a former agent, testified that Castro Romo was going to throw a rock when he shot him. After late questioning, Canales changed his story, saying he waited until Castro Romo moved his right arm to throw the rock before he fired. Canales also said that Castro Romo used threatening language as he threw the rock. The court found Castro Romo's story about the shooting more credible than Canales' use of force was not justified under Arizona law. Assistant U.S. Attorney Mark Pestle, who represented the government, declined to comment on the ruling or whether the government will appeal.
A Senate panel has approved legislation that will bar most transfers from the U.S. prison at Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, a roadblock in President Barack Obama's push for the close to the detention center. The vote was 14-12 at a closed-door session. It came just as the White House said Obama would veto the bill. The measure would suspend the transfer high or medium-risk terrorist suspect from Guantanamo to the U.S. or other countries during Obama's remaining 2 years in office. It will also repeal current law that allows transfers for low-risk detainees to foreign countries. When Obama took office 6 years ago, there was 242 detainees at Guantanamo. Today, there are 122. Of those, 54 are eligible to transfer.
50 Shades of Grey is soon to come out this week. It was said that at least 5 students at Westmoreland County Middle School were handed a word search with amorous words on it from the movie and novel. Investigation is said to be taking place. James Carter, the father of a son who is present in the classroom while the paper was passed out, said that he asked his son who it was that passed out the word search. His son stated that it was the teacher. Carter also stated that he doesn't think that this is appropriate for 8th grade students. The problem was brought up at the school board meeting. Monessen City School District officials stated that they would not comment on the member who handed out the word search due to personal issues. Solicitor John Toohey stated that they just learned about the issue and investigation will soon occur. This will not be commented by any school district officials whether or not any staff has been disciplined.
Family, friends, and supporters gathered for a service for 3 young adults shot in North Carolina in what police call a parking dispute. Funeral services were planned for one of Raleigh's largest mosques, where the family are longtime members. But with the crowd estimated at 5,500, the service was moved to the athletic fields across from the mosque. The fields are owned by North Carolina State University, where 2 victims had graduated and 1 was a student. The service began after midday prayers. Earlier, the family and some friends viewed the victims' bodies in a small building apart from the mosque. At the service conclusion, about a dozen people carried each of the 3 caskets away in hearse, which headed to the Islamic cemetery outside of Raleigh. 46-year-old neighbor Craig Stephen Hicks is charged with murder.
Now we have Jay Jackman with an aircraft's rough landing that almost ended poorly.
We have not had success. We do believe our nose landing gear is still retracted. Our 2 main landing gears appear to be down, and the nose wheel appears to be up.
Those are just a few words spoken by the captain of U.S. Airways Flight 1825 after the nose gear did not deploy. This flight was coming from Philadelphia and had to make an emergency landing at Bush International Airport in Houston. David Hebert, communications director for the Houston airport, tells us more.
We did have an incident at George Bush Intercontinental Airport. It unfolded around 9:30 this evening. A U.S. Airways regional jet was coming into Houston from Philadelphia. Approaching IH airspace, the pilot realized that the nose gear, basically the wheels toward the front of the plane, weren't deploying. They did a couple of turns around the airport airspace, talked to the FAA tower, tried to get visual confirmation that the nose gear was in fact inoperable. Unfortunately, it wasn't working properly. So the airline talked to the pilots and they made the determination to go ahead and do a landing without the benefit of the nose gear. That occurred right around 9:30, 9:40. Fortunately, there were no injuries. The plane did have an unusual landing, a bit of a rough landing, but again, no injuries.
The passengers exited the aircraft on the tarmac via aircraft slides, and as you can see from the footage, the plane was later lifted off the ground and towed away after its landing gear was pulled out and replaced around 6 a.m.
My understanding is that the National Transportation Safety Board has been contacted. They make the determination whether or not a formal investigation needs to occur. As far as the aircraft itself, the airline has the first option to actually remove the aircraft. If for some reason they want to pass that responsibility along to us, then we are willing and capable to step forward and then work out the details with them at a later date.
For Lights Camera Akron, I'm Jay Jackman.
Coming up on Lights Camera Akron News Edition, Amanda tells us how we can finally buy our Girl Scout cookies online, and Jen gives us the scoop on all of this year's Grammy Awards.
All of this and more on Lights Camera Akron News Edition.
Welcome back to Lights Camera Akron News Edition. NBC News suspended its chief anchor and managing editor, Brian Williams, on Tuesday for 6 months without pay. The scandal erupted earlier this month when Williams attended a New York Rangers game with a soldier who helped guard him and other American soldiers while on a convoy of military helicopters they were flying on was forced to land on a desert in Iraq in 2003. Williams said the helicopter he was on had been hit by enemy fire and forced down. Veterans from the convoy challenged Williams' story, which he has repeated in the past. Other news reports began emerging after the story, questioning after Williams' statements. It was later found by soldiers that his story about the attack was not true. Lester Holt will replace Williams as a substitute anchor on NBC Nightly News.
Hackers stole more than 6.5 million Social Security numbers last year, and this year might be considerably higher, especially given the recent Anthem hack of 80 million customers. A Social Security number and a name are the only things needed for tax fraud, and right now stolen Social Security numbers are overflowing online in the black market. Violators could walk away with your tax refund, and all they have to do is plug in false income numbers on a W-2. If you report the fraud, the IRS can freeze your refund. However, investigations are so behind, the government says the average wait time can be anywhere from 120 days to an entire year. The IRS was able to stop $63 billion worth of fraudulent tax refunds between 2011 and 2014. However, in 2011 alone, the IRS paid tax fraud violators $5.2 billion. In response to the issue, the IRS wants to update its website to require a password when filing taxes, and they will no longer load more than 3 tax refunds into a single prepaid debit card.
A federal judge in Alabama has ordered Mobile County to start issuing gay marriage licenses, making them the 37th state to allow same-sex marriage. U.S. District Judge Callie Grenade made the ruling after a brief hearing Thursday. Grenade overturned the state's ban on gay marriage last month, and the U.S. Supreme Court refused to stop gay marriages from beginning Monday. Alabama Chief Justice Roy Moore issued the 11th hour order telling the probate judges in the state they didn't have to hand out the licenses, causing confusion. As a result, many probate judges, including the one in Mobile County, refused to issue marriage license to anyone, including heterosexual couples. However, Alabama as a whole has wed hundreds of gay couples this week alone due to the new legislation.
The Senate has confirmed the president's choice to run the Pentagon. The vote Thursday was 93-5 for Ashton Carter. He'll replace Chuck Hagel and be Obama's 4th defense secretary in 6 years. Carter faces the unfortunate task of steering the military as the United States battles Islamic State militants in Iraq and Syria and deals with the crisis in Ukraine and the downdraw of the war in Afghanistan. His confirmation comes as Republicans and Democrats have reacted negatively to the president's draft proposal for authorizing force against the extremists. The 60-year-old Carter is a physicist by training. He served as the Pentagon's #2 official from 2011 to 2013. Hagel struggled with Obama's insular group of national security advisors. He announced in November that he was stepping down.
Alaska, Alabama, Utah, and New Jersey have all increased the cigarette smoking age to 19 years old, with Iowa soon to follow. If proposed legislation passed, the legal age will be raised from 18 to 19 starting on January 1st of 2016. Although 1 year might not seem much of a change, Senator Herman Kornbach, the man who proposed the bill, said it could change much of the influence for potential smokers. Senator Kornbach cites his reasoning for keeping tobacco out of high schools, as by graduation time, at least 2/3 of high school population can be purchased cigarettes legally.
The Girl Scouts of America are looking to bring cookie selling into the future by offering sales through their mobile app in addition to traditional door-to-door method. LCA's own Amanda Murata has the inside scoop.
Girl Scouts have recently advanced their door-to-door selling to online cookie sales. These cookies are for sale via online. They call this new market Digital Cookie. In order to buy digitally, a customer must ask the Girl Scout they know, and the Scout will use their mobile app to purchase the cookies for you. Now let's go over to the Student Union and talk with some people about their opinion on the new digital cookies. What is your favorite Girl Scout cookie?
I like the Samoas. Thin Mint.
I believe it's the coconut flavored ones, whichever those ones are called.
It's got to be the Thin Mint cookie.
Did you know that Girl Scout cookies are now available in digital form?
I did not know that. Did not know that.
No, I never even heard of that.
Will that impact you buying them in the future?
Absolutely. The easier the better.
I might. I could just go online and check them out. Like, it's kind of hard to get to the grocery store to see all the little girls and everything, so online makes it a lot more convenient, I guess.
I'm Amanda Murata.
Coming up, reporter Jen Danzak takes us to Canton to give us a story on vandalism that shook the neighborhood. Stay tuned.
Welcome back to Lights, Camera, Akron News Edition. I'm Jade Marshall.
And I'm Heather Daniels.
Canton residents were rocked this week after a series of vandalism occurred Saturday night. Reporter Jen Danzak has the story.
Found it on the ground by the mirror.
Canton residents woke up Sunday morning to a disturbing mess.
Me and my mom were going to go to lunch, and when I came out, when I started to get in the car, I noticed my mirror was cracked and everything. I'm going like, oh no.
Debbie Perdue had her car damaged overnight by vandalizers using marbles.
The damage is to my outer mirror there, and I have to replace the whole thing because they busted both areas.
Neighbor Joshua Danner experienced the trauma of vandalism as well.
One of our friends was stopping by, and somebody was trying to break into the window of his truck. I guess people have been using marbles to break windows, and so he had someone try to break into his truck the other night.
Mischievous acts in this area did not start this past weekend, but weeks ago.
We had someone break into our garage. One of the girls I live with, she came downstairs and heard a noise in the garage and thought it was me coming home. So she asked me, and I said, no, I'm not here.
There's also been a notice of change in police patrol since the incidents occurred.
We've been here for 4 years. I think I've seen a cop once ever in that 4 years, and now I've seen him like 5, 6, 7 times a day.
But ultimately, residents remain cautious.
I mean, it's scary. You got to keep everything locked, and it's crazy.
In Canton, Jen Danzak, ZTV.
The Ohio House has collectively passed a bill that bans schools from using proficiency tests to determine whether a student can progress to the next grade level. The legislation that passed also prohibits using the results of new state math and English assessments to make course credit decisions. It further prevents schools from sharing individual test scores with outside source without parental consent. Republican State Representative Jim Beakey, the bill's sponsor, said lawmakers wanted to make sure students have the same protection against unintended consequences of the test that teachers and school districts were provided last session. The measure goes next to the Ohio Senate.
Pennsylvania's 2 senators are teaming up to urge the Democratic National Committee to pick Philadelphia for its 2016 convention. In a letter yesterday, Democrat Bob Casey and Republican Pat Toomey tout the city to DNC chairwoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz as the best choice. Philadelphia is competing against 2 other finalists, Columbus, Ohio, and the New York City Brooklands borough, which are hoping to host their first convention. The senators point to Philadelphia's significance as the birthplace of U.S. independence and its track record of hosting national conventions. The city was the host to the 2000 Republican National Convention. Wasserman Schultz and a team of DNC staff visited the 3 final cities last week and are sorting through the logistical details before making a final decision. An announcement is expected in the coming days.
A Northeast Ohio streets commissioner has been demoted after officials said the city's snow removal efforts missed the mark following last week's winter weather. After a winter storm dumped at least a foot of snow in parts of northern Ohio last week, Cleveland residents and city leaders said it took days for streets to be cleared, and some still remain covered in ice and snow. Cleveland officials say Streets Commissioner Rob Mavick has been demoted and that the city will consider other personnel changes. Cleveland Chief Operating Officer Darnell Brown says all staff has been held accountable and that the city will do better moving forward. Officials say about a third of the city's aging snowplows are out of order.
The Cleveland suburb of Warrensville Heights is offering a $5,000 reward for information about a man suspected of killing 3 people and wounding 3 others in a shooting in a barbershop last week. Officials in Warrensville Heights identified 20-year-old Douglas Shine Jr. of Cleveland as a suspect. An aggravated murder warrant has been issued for his arrest. Police say Shine is likely to be in Cleveland area and is very dangerous. William Gonzalez, Brandon White, and Walter Lee Barfield were killed in the shooting. 2 men and a woman were wounded and are recovering. Police say they are investigating if the shooting was gang-related. Mayor Brad Sellers says only 1 person in the shop was believed to be in Shine's target that night. And now we have entertainment reporter Jen Danzak in studio with us.
I hear there's a lot of buzz going on around about the Grammys.
That is so true, girls. As you may know, the Grammys were this past weekend, and everyone is talking about the winners, the losers, the fashion, and Kanye pulling a Kanye? Let's take a look. From the red carpet to the outstanding performances, the 2015 Grammy Awards was Hollywood's biggest night of the year for music's hottest stars.
This has been such an incredible year.
Feels surreal.
With all the glitz and glam, the stars looked stunning, like Madonna in this Givenchy bodysuit and Miley Cyrus in her Alexander Vauthier gown. British newcomer Sam Smith swept the scene as he won multiple awards, including Song of the Year, Record of the Year, and Best New Artist.
I don't know how to react right now. This is absolutely incredible.
His domination left nominees Meghan Trainor and T. Swift empty-handed. But what was considered probably the biggest upset of the night was rocker Beck beating out Beyoncé and Ed Sheeran for Album of the Year. And then rapper Kanye West stormed the stage, creating deja vu from the 2009 VMAs with Taylor Swift.
Yo, Taylor, I'm really happy for you. I'm gonna let you finish. But Beyonce had one of the best videos of all time.
And of course, the Grammys wouldn't be the Grammys without the exceptional performances, including incredible duets from Lady Gaga and Tony Bennett, and Hozier and Annie Lennox. Even Pharrell and legend Bob Dylan hit the stage.
Critics say my voice is shot, but I have no voice. Why don't they say those things about Leonard Cohen?
For many of the hottest musicians, young and old, it was certainly a night to remember.
It's a dream come true. I'm the happiest I've ever been in my life.
I can't even deal with Kanye anymore.
I can't either, guys. I'm just wondering if he's going to do it again next year.
Who knows?
I don't know. We'll find out.
I don't know. Thanks, Jen.
You got it.
That's all we have for you this week on Lights Camera Akron.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram and like us on Facebook at ZTV LCA.
And you can check us out every day at 8, 9:30, noon, and 4 to give you all the latest news.
See you next time.
This program was produced by ZTV at the University of Akron. To find out how you can make Emmy-winning media, visit the UA School of Communication online. ZTV. Make media. Make a difference.